and this is my final project for my Python class. Basically, I'm going to be explaining how I did my code for my final assignment. And just to start off, I'm going to give a little information about it. So it basically, with this project, I wanted to learn, or I have learned quite a bit about different ant species, and a lot of the ants that are in multiple states have wings, so it's easier for them to disperse between different states than just having to like hop a ride on a car or some other means of transportation. Because walking, it's going to be really hard for them to get from Kentucky all the way down to Florida without some other way. Um, Another thing that I concluded was that a lot of states have invasive species. I did add Hawaii onto the list, even though I was trying to make it more of just like native ant species. Um, but Hawaii doesn't have any native ants, so a lot of the stuff that's being like moved to different places, like um, it is, a lot of them can be invasive to the environment. Um, Yet again, this is due to trade and exploration, um, and they also have detrimental effects on ecosystems. Um, Finally, I concluded that even though there's different environments in the U.S., most of them are able to persevere in those different habitats and climates. So basically, from the start, you import pandas, and then so these green marks, which I don't have a lot throughout my whole thing. I only have two. The green, it's basically just like, hey, like this is what this is going to be doing. Um, so I set it to where it would read the CSV file, and to import one of those, you can click New File, New Folder, or you can click over here on the three dots and you click Upload File, and then that should be whatever it's going to be. I know I renamed it so that it wasn't as long, but that's what I put in. I can delete that. You want to keep spacing between your stuff just so that it doesn't get confusing. Because if everything was one space away, then, or if you had no spaces, then you're going in looking at the code and it's just all one big, basically a big paragraph talking about stuff, and it's confusing. So while true, this is a loop. It's like starting a loop so that this can all work. While true, import word equals input. So this is going to pop up, and let me just run it for you real fast. It's going to pop up. This has to, yeah, so enter a word, state or ant, period, or there is a period, sorry. To quit, type exit. And I put it with a capital E, and the only issue I have down here, like towards the end, is I don't have it with a capital E towards the end. And I know that's an easy fix. But a lot of the stuff that I've been doing, I was messing up and I wasn't like typing capitals. So it's more of like a muscle memory thing for me. Um, so, um, so for this, it's if you type in the word state with a capital S, it will take you down to this, and it's another loop statement embedded in that loop statement. So let's click enter, and it says type a state or exit to quit, and it says that up here. And then, so I'm going to use Ohio, or I'll use Alaska because I think there were quite a few in there. I think there were like 7 maybe. So ants in this state, and it shows that once I click enter. So you click enter, and There were a lot more than 7, but I have it set up to where it will show all of the ants, the different genus names, like in Latin. So then that's looped until you say exit, and then it prints goodbye, and it breaks, and it goes back to this first question. So I would click, let me copy one of those. Never mind. So let me type in exit, and it says, this is an issue. I'm not sure how to fix it. I think it's just taking this little bottom part out. And then it'll say goodbye, and it will say enter a word, state, or ant, type quit to exit. So let me go back up here. If you type ant, it'll take you down to this second, which is elif. So it's like else if word is ant. Then it says you have entered ant, or you entered ant. Type in ant genus. So that is the genus for a little black ant, which we do have in Kentucky. So it shows all of the different states that ant is found in. And then if we type in exit, yeah. Sorry. If we type in exit, it says states with this ant. Okay. Yeah. That's right. So let me go back up here. So then it's another elif. Let me skip that because that breaks the whole code. Just that it like quits the whole thing, and you don't have to manually click stop. So let's say I just like fat fingered, and that'll basically say you didn't enter state or ant, and then it shows like invalid input, please enter state or ant. So it basically just is like it's separate from this broken loop, because once it breaks, then the whole thing will stop. And since this is looping, you don't want the whole thing to, like the whole program to stop just because you misentered something. So it's basically separate from this under the same area. So for this, it's where you like identify what data is, like you're defining it. You're defining input data, ant, if column, state, else state. That's like talking about like when you enter ant or state. If data, return data, else. So that's basically like if you enter in one of the things that's like able to be put in for data, it'll enter that. And then if it isn't, then it'll say no entry found, input data. So it's basically just like whatever data it's referring to, it's going to say, hey, like you didn't do this the right way. So that got into that and that. Yeah. So back up here, this is just like invalid input. Please enter state or ant. So like if you don't type in state or ant, that'll pop up. So let me go into state and let me type in that. So for this, it shows if you go into state, then it shows ants in the state, no entry found, which I think I showed that earlier. So let me get out of that again. And then up here, I have another elif word equals exit under this elif word equals ant. Like I said before, elif is basically just like else if. It's it like lets you add multiple statements. So like there's if, elif, and else. Once you type in else, you can't have like 8 elses. It has to be like elif or if, elif, 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 else. And else is sort of that like this is the last thing that it could be. It's anything except that. And this is just an easier way to like consolidate it. So if you type in exit, which I don't know if let me move that. So if you type in exit and you click enter, that'll basically like you quit the program. And if you want to get back into it, you have to go back up to run before it'll let you. But yeah, so that's my project. That's how you. Now I do want to say I did have issues with this in my first draft. I couldn't get the if word equals in elif. I was trying to use two if statements. So that's why elif is so important and why else is important. I also was having issues up here where I didn't have break as the last word. I just like let it cut off, and I wasn't really thinking it's still attached to this up here. So let me start that and show you what happened. I was typing in something, and if it wasn't state or ant, it would just repeat input, invalid input, please enter state or ant. So whenever you're working with one of those types of situations where you're like having a loop, just make sure that you add in break towards the end, because I mean it just repeats. And it's all the way up to the top. And I mean that's 14 seconds, and you can see how much scrolling I'm doing, and I'm not even halfway there. So if you're doing that, just be cautious that there is the break at the end, so that it doesn't end up messing up your code. And I'm going to admit it took me a lot longer to do than it should have. It took me probably an hour to realize that that was the issue in the code. But yeah, thank you. That's my project. Bye.